Hello, welcome to Star Wars Spelt Out. I'm your host, Josh Chapman, and today, not much going on. Not much going on at all. Brand new Star Wars show. Thought I'd bring along a special guest who's been riding the journey the whole time. Please state your name.
Catherine Kneen.
And what do you like about Star Wars, Catherine?
Cassie and Andor. Just...
Wouldn't it be great if he had his own show?
How many years ago was it? I think I was sat in this exact seat and we were watching Rogue One, and I said how much I love Cassian Andor and how I wish that we knew more about his backstory and how he got to where he was. It was such an intriguing story. And then later
I think I was like, yeah, that'd be a great idea for a show. Why'd they do that?
Yep. And obviously Bobby I was listening and
willed it into existence.
Yep.
Now you were on a few weeks ago when we got the trailer drop, and they went and kicked it down the road a few weeks. How have the last couple of weeks been since we chatted? Counting down. You're on school holidays now. We should preface that it's actually school holidays now. It's actually grand final week in Melbourne, which is the biggest football game of the year. It's also so we've got a day off on Friday for the grand final eve. We've also got a day off tomorrow for the day of mourning for Her Majesty. Yep. So it's like an extended public holiday. It's actually Andor Day, really.
Yeah, it's Andor Day. And this morning I got the notification it was my anniversary of joining Twitter. So this date is quite significant.
It's a date that will live in infamy.
Yes. Those days when I had to put the count up for how many days away Andor was. When
you actually had to it was like the Ferris Bueller thing with the days. Yeah. Instead of going down, the days were going up.
Days were going up. But it's been surreal that it's actually happening. And so when I got in the car to come over here, I was like, it's actually going to happen.
And then somebody called you or in the car and said, hey, the batteries at the Zoom recorder have gone flat. Do you mind taking a detour and just getting some batteries? Just like what you really wanted to do while you're already super hyper-focused on doing one thing.
Yeah. While I'm doing everything I can today to distract myself from Andor. And I've never done so many just errands in my life.
There's a lot of tweet liking too. I'm just like, Catherine's just like scrolling to see if anything happens, just to make sure they don't delay it again.
Yeah.
Just in case there's like one last final insult. Okay, so what if we've already had friends who got to go to the premiere and Steele and Corey and I think Laura got to go, and Molly and Alex, and the Pink Milk guys, best dressed guy people at the premiere as well.
Yeah.
So it was definitely happening. It was in a state to show.
Oh my God,
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to pop it on now. So what we'll do is we will turn the mics off. We'll probably have an atmosphere mic for reactions, but it's really just for, we're going to try and video it. So there might be a video. It's just for the track. The podcast isn't going to be 2 hours of us watching Andor. But what we'll do is we'll put the mics back on at the end of every episode and do a recap and what we think is going to happen, because it seems silly not to at least react to each episode since we've got them.
Yep.
Otherwise, we'll just get to the end, because then we can basically do some cock-a-doodle speculating, as Paul would say, and then we get to get the answers right away until we get to the last episode.
And I'll need a cry break.
Yeah. So we'll do a cry break as well. Yeah. So if the audio looks a bit weird, I'm just going to flick to the FX mic, and then I'll turn the other mics off, and we'll see you on the other side of the first episode. You ready, Catherine?
No.
Should we just do this thing?
Yes.
Let's do this thing. All right, let's do it. I mean, it's so compelling. It's kind of hard to be emotional.
It is.
And I think that was the thing. I was looking over at you, and it's like the emotional side of it kind of disappeared really quickly. You were just like, I just need to concentrate and figure out what's going on in this story.
I just need to absorb everything. And it's not definitely not constructed for the big audience pops, which is fine.
Yeah.
Although, I did pop when I was like,
is that Alan Tudyk doing the voice?
I'm almost positive. Like, we didn't pause credits, but I tried to scan through
we'll have to have a look. We'll have to look afterwards.
But I'm pretty sure it's Alan Tudyk, and
that would be a pretty sweet little thing. That, although it doesn't bode well for that droid.
It's been my theory for a while, and I said it Sunday night on Three Men and a Baby Yoda podcast. That my theory is that B2 Emo, something will happen to him and then he'll be put into K2SO, which will make us cry even more when K2SO dies.
It's like second time around.
Yep.
It's just weird with him having mates, like and friends and people he knows, and he's kind of he's a bit of a shyster as well.
Yeah.
Like we kind of was like, it was kind of implied, he's sort of gotten down and dirty to get where he is, sort of thing. But he's kind of like screwing people around town and stuff as well. And
like people doing him favors, but him not paying them back. And
kind of got a reputation around.
Varric.
It's fascinating. And then at the start, it's like he goes to like a brothel to start, and it's like no hiding, it's a brothel. And just it's like kind of sexy Star Wars, and I kind of just want to just jump straight back into the next episode and things.
Dive in,
but I mean, the flashbacks is interesting as well. Like just the implication of a sister, and talking about his mother. It's just like, although I think the mother might have just been part of the fake story to be where he was. That bloody, I don't know if he's an Imperial, whatever he is. That bloke with the stick up his ass.
Oh yeah, he's a prick.
Arnold Rimmer. It's like the Arnold Rimmer of Andor. People who get that reference. Looks great.
Yeah.
Sets are amazing. The tone. I mean, it's Star Wars, but it's kind of not very Star Wars. I mean, it is, but it isn't, isn't it? Like
like we haven't got the sort of the Star Wars things as it is. I mean, yes, we saw a gonk droid.
Yeah.
Which, yes, gonk. You have to just go gonk.
Yeah.
But it hasn't. Well, it is very different from what we've seen in The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even down to the end credits, doesn't have like the visual art.
Visuals. Yeah,
yeah.
It really feels like its own thing, doesn't it? Like they just even they had the planet names like they had in Rogue One, but even like the date.
Yes.
As well. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea to really set.
But then
the stage.
didn't do it for the flashbacks as well, though, which I thought was interesting.
No, yeah.
He does look older than 6, though. But I guess something's gone down where he's probably. It seems like someone's moved in. Those kids look like they're going to go try and take back something, or.
It looks like
maybe the families
crashed.
have been taken, or the parents have been taken, or something like that.
Yeah.
Or
something's crashed, and they're going to go as a raiding party to get it. And you very much feel that. Okay, it's left on a cliffhanger of, watch the next one, because it's not an episode in itself with a resolved story.
Yeah, I mean, if they just put that episode up and nothing else, you'd just be going like, oh my God, like, can you really do that? Because it's not so much like it's almost not like a Mandalorian when it's like Baby Yoda, okay, this is what you're into. This is more just, it just feels like you just want to go on, basically. Yeah. All right, well, I'm going to quickly go for a loo break and grab some snacks.
Yeah. Oh, before we do, in the robots, the droids at the start.
Yep.
Did you notice there was B2 Emo at the end?
Oh, it was in the credit bit?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even notice. All right, I'll look for it next time. We'll get that on there. Pretty solid start. How did you feeling like it's lived up to the hype so far?
Well, it's my hype, so it's always going to live up to that.
But it's just fascinating. Like I said, like you were obviously very emotional. You've been very emotional about the whole thing, but the compellingness is just sort of taken over.
Yeah.
And now you're just like, well, I don't need to worry about the show existing because it exists. Now I just need to know what the hell happens because I'm hooked.
Yes.
All right. We'll start this in a sec and we'll pick up.
Okay.
All right, Catherine. Episode 2 of Star Wars Andor, a thing that exists on television.
Okay, so originally they were going to show 2 episodes. So
Do you feel like there might be like it feels like a sting, like of what they might have, like
Yeah.
in Obi-Wan, how they had they showed Anakin or Vader essentially at the end of the 2. So we could get, because that was the plan.
yeah, and now with 3, that's like almost
Bonus?
an arc. Yeah, that's what Tony Gilroy's kind of been talking about.
His name's all over this.
Oh yeah,
So much Gilroy.
oh so much Gilroy.
All right, let's roll this sucker. Take a sec to just kind of rock out.
Yeah, it's a very
Live drum sound. It's never heard that in a Star Wars.
No, it is very much Succession. You can hear Succession.
Well, it didn't really resolve at the end, did it?
No. Yeah, I'm left with the person who was killed. In the flashback, was that his mother or just like a leader?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the lady, he lives with his mum now, but is it his adopted mother or something? It seems. I totally forgot that we even knew that because we'd seen that in a trailer. That it said that her last name was Andor, that was her mum. But yeah,
and what was I going to say? So, God, they really have made this television it's not like a. How do I explain it? That it's paced like a TV show, not like a movie.
And it's not trying to be it's almost not trying to be Star Wars, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just that thing. You just go oh, it would have been. Yeah, I think if they'd ended it. If they'd done the 2 on that, I think people would just oh, where are we going with this?
Yeah.
I know we haven't even got to the 3rd one yet. We don't even know what the wash is. But I'm just going to get the episode 3 queued up here before we start. But we just sort of we're kind of being drip fed information, aren't we?
Yeah. So we've now got that Cassian or Cassar is from that mid-ring planet that was
Basically
obviously
got mined to death.
Mined to death, and the story is there was a mining accident, and he is one of the first peoples of that planet. Are the adults being used as slave labor, or
very likely, or something along those lines. That and that's interesting. They've just gone to the ship. I don't know whether it's to scavenge or for some other reason, or it's it's interesting. And then obviously he's got the part, the rare part that he's ready to sell to get off planet. Skarsgård wants it, and then the ex-girlfriend is the new boyfriend doesn't really trust him. And they got a bit very sexy for a Star Wars show. It was sort of this is what's going on. There's no illusions here. It's not just kissy. It's sort of this is happening.
We still haven't seen Mon Mothma.
No, we haven't got to that side of the story at all, which I'm a little bit surprised, actually. I thought that would they would have cut to that, but they sort of not even implying who we don't really know anything about Skarsgård's character yet.
No.
That jerk. He got his goons, and they can't, he couldn't even sort of front up and do it when it all got a bit real. I think he was it's a bit easier to posture in the office.
Yeah, not in front of blokes who actually do stuff.
Yeah, if you want to go crack some heads and things.
But we're seeing how the Imperials actually...
They kind of outsource.
They outsource when they can't be there in person, and this is how they control a galaxy.
Yeah, they just basically use local companies. It's almost like local private security or something that they use. So it's almost kind of it almost makes the Empire more like desirable to be a part of, because you're not just like some like security guard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it almost like being a stormtrooper would be like a step up, would be like almost like a big deal,
Yeah.
because you're just not like some local jerk who does the local area.
No.
Or I kind of implied that sort of like everybody became stormtroopers, but maybe that's not the case.
Yeah, it's almost like that step up from the rent-a-cop to cop.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like community, like, you know, like the people at the train station.
Yeah. I wonder if, you know, we know Stellan Skarsgård sort of based more out of Coruscant. I wonder after he has this encounter with Cassian, we follow him back to Coruscant, and that's when we meet Mon Mothma.
Yeah, well,
and
will we
pick
even
up
see
her-
Mon Mothma this episode?
Well,
Depends how quickly it resolves itself. Like, I'm assuming that we're going to get the clip that was in the preview.
yes.
Which is amazing that
reckon
that's
now.
3 episodes in. If you told me that was 3 episodes in, I would have been like, oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I reckon we see that now, but now I'm understanding more why they did 4 episodes for that special fan preview.
Did they do 4?
They did 4. So I'm wondering if Mon Mothma shows up in the 4th.
Oh,
and they
I didn't
wanted...
realise that. So they got 1 episode more.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just wondering whether that means Mon Mothma will show up in 4, and they wanted to have some of Mon Mothma.
In there, yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a very good chance of that. And also, like, not that I'm complaining at all, but that was a bit more actiony.
Yeah.
And there's effectively 0 action in this. There's a lot of tension and a
Yeah.
lot of like intrigue, but it's not like there's, you know, big shootouts or
No,
anything like
that's
that.
coming. That's coming.
That's coming.
Oh, and dude he's the most punchable person. How punchable is he?
Corporal stick up his ass or whatever he is. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he went full Rimmer.
He's gone full. Yeah, he's essentially the Arnold Rimmer of the Star Wars universe. He's got his little lackeys and stuff. All right.
Yeah.
Should we get ready to roll this thing?
Yep.
All righty, Catherine. We've seen 2 episodes of Andor.
It is a slow burn. For as much as we've laughed over that term, it's correct.
And I think, you know, I've said a couple of times on the pod leading up, just like, you know, it's going, it's moving. Don't expect everything to happen at once.
No.
This is seems to be very, very meticulously planned out. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of like connective tissue and things going on this. And it's very different to the other stuff, but it is very compelling.
Yeah, the drip feed of his backstory is good. I like the drip feed. I have no complaints. There's going to be complaints out there.
Yeah, but who cares?
Yeah, I don't care.
Don't even bother.
Stuff
Who
them.
cares? All right, should we get cracking on this last episode?
Yep.
All right, let's do this thing. Wow, perfect place to end it.
Yep. Still lots of questions though.
I know, but like, yeah, I think if they just ended on the second one, it might have been a bit like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
That sort of did put a nice little, it was almost like a 3-part sort of intro, wasn't it, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wowee.
It's intense.
It's intense.
Oh.
So I did answer about the adopted mother, and I assume the other guy was his father.
Yeah.
He wasn't around anymore. Yeah. I feel like in a traditional Star Wars thing, that would have just all been crammed into one episode.
Yeah.
Like it probably would have just
definitely.
started with like that scene that we saw in the 9-minute thing where it was just, you know what I mean? Like removing all that sort of backstory and stuff. I don't know where it's going to go with the rest of it, but
yeah, introducing, you know, all those other characters on Ferrix that we didn't get the name of all of them, or if we did, I didn't register them all.
Skip past, read the recaps and find out. Yeah, well, it's not actually his droid either, and he still lives with his mum.
Yeah. No, he's a good boy. I hope we see more of B2.
Yeah. He's all nice and shiny in the flashbacks too.
Yeah.
So he'd been around for a while. Oh, I was just going to see if we can see if there's any.
Yeah, B2 voice.
It doesn't say on there. Where is she? Cassian Andor, Willie, Big Sergeant Linus Mosk, West 2, X3.
Dave Chapman.
Oh, there you go. It's not Tudyk. Dave. No relation.
Unless it's, a
It's
pseudonym.
a pseudonym. Or it could be the guy who does. Oh, and we can roll right into Rogue One now if you want. But not quite. We're not quite ready for that.
No.
Wow, we now got to wait another whole week. Find out
No.
what happens. I mean, you couldn't do this like 12. It's clear why it's 12 episodes. You know what I mean? Like it really.
Yeah, they've paced it.
And you're right on the Mon Mothma stuff as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's weird. Like I don't know. Is he just going to go like live at his house or something now? Like,
Well, you don't think he wouldn't fit in with what what's his name, Luthien, how he lives,
he's a bit of a fancy boy in real life.
Yeah. Does he go drop him off at Saw Gerrera's? Because I think Jin is gone from Saw's by now.
But he put Cassian in a prison though in Rogue One.
Yeah, they didn't interact, yeah.
But he did enough to lock him up though.
Yeah. Or Driven, is that his name? The guy who orders Cassian Andor to kill Galen Erso.
Yeah, I don't know. We're curious to see whether we get into the Rebels and stuff now because it's 5 years.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and watch Rebels to figure out where the alliance is at this time, but it's
not yet an alliance. There's like a lot of
splinter
separate cells.
Yeah, I mean, there's sort of implied in Solo as well that Emphas Nest is involved in starting up something as well, and
a lot of separate cells, and maybe the only communication between them is Fulcrum at this stage.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Goodness me. Well, there it is. It's very different tonally.
Yeah.
I mean, it still feels Star Warsy. I think if it was like he didn't have Rogue One to go off, I think it'd be more jarring.
Yeah.
Because it does have a closer tone to Rogue One, but even more, it's even less Star Warsy than Rogue One.
Yeah. Yeah. But I really like how different it is. It's not a desert planet. It's not, bounty hunters. It's people living pretty much everyday lives.
Mm-hmm.
And how they would live on a planet that isn't quite Imperial control, but it sort of is.
But it's kind of funny because it's like it's boots on the ground people, but even the quote unquote baddies are are lower level as well. You know what I mean? Like it's not even the Imperials at this stage. Like I'm sure they'll play a part soon, but just at this stage, it's really just like you said. It's the people who's just going about their lives and like Cassian. It's kind of weird. Like Cassian, he's obviously got a few hustles on the go. Like he doesn't seem to have a job, or he doesn't seem to be working in the mine with everybody else or whatever he's doing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe. Like, what's his actual goal here? Like, it seemed like at the start his goal was he was looking for his sister. That was sort of his hustle.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very good.
Yes.
How are you feeling about it all now that you've got to all the hype? It sort of feels the same as we spoke before. It feels like the compelling of it kind of just took over.
Yeah, it absolutely drew me in. I want more. We've seen a lot of scenes from the trailers, but there's a lot more to come. So yeah, it's good. And what I thought in the trailers were the clone trooper carriers. Were the carriers?
Yeah, they're just some local security things, weren't they? They're just sort of the next. It's almost like they just simplified them and done the little Stando version, like the little Hyundai version or something. That they
Or,
kinda-
they're the ex-fleet,
yeah.
the government sale that they've picked up.
So do you reckon you'll go back and rewatch everything before next week?
These three, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
You'll get back to Chateau Kneen and...
Yep. Sit down.
I mean, it might even be worth... I don't know. We watched it and we were at my house. We were just, we're on a big 75-inch TV. We had the big sound going for the most part. We didn't crank it totally, but it was pretty cranking. But I almost feel like you just watch it with subtitles again to catch every little detail, every little name, every little,
Yeah. That's the one thing on Prime. We have that X-ray feature for names. Yeah, and when they were talking in the flashback, Maeva was talking about the Republic coming. So that was set during Republic era. That part.
Well, yeah. That's interesting, isn't it? So that means that the Republic that screwed up the planet and not the Empire. So they're just like, hey, as far as we're concerned, it's just some other mob messing around with the planets where they shouldn't.
Well, let's face it, the Republic really just rebranded into the Empire. There wasn't really that much of a change.
Yeah, we're curious to see where they go with that. And, it's quite interesting, just the subplot of him having a sister. And, yeah, like I feel like you said, that they'll probably we'll be in Coruscant, or we'll be at least, that sort of side of things we'll start getting into. Yeah, it's... I just feel like I'm sort of mentally exhausted a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 in a row is quite a lot to watch, if anything, really.
Yeah.
But just the sort of concentration levels. And I mean, it was definitely more action in the last bit. And it was interesting, even though we'd watched that 9-minute sort of clip a couple of weeks ago, it kind of worked a lot better in this because you were sort of cutting between the guards and the context and the town and everything as well. And it kind of made a bit more sense.
Yeah, it definitely made more sense.
But I just absolutely was like, that absolutely will be in the first episode. That's basically how they'll just kick it off. That but no, that was it was well down the thing.
Yeah, I think they've definitely not living up to what expectations were. I think I expected a bit more spy-y stuff at this stage,
rather than sort of world building.
Maybe, yeah, but that'll come. That'll come.
Yeah, I just thought he'd probably be more. He would not fully formed isn't the right thing, I suppose, but more. We just would have got this. That third episode would have been the first episode. We wouldn't have got as much backstory. We wouldn't have got as much thing about the town and everything like that. And I think it serves well, and I think it's all going to sort of lead somewhere.
Yeah.
But I guess that's the difference between a 6 episode and a 12 episode. That you can basically do that.
Yeah, they've got the time. Yeah, it's sort of funny though. It was, the forces sort of commenting about Cassian. Oh, he doesn't look like much. He doesn't look very dangerous.
He looks like a little. It's got to be a bit little. Like I never really thought about. I mean, how tall's Diego Luna? Do you know? I don't think he's a particularly big bloke, is he?
He's taller than me, but that's not saying much.
Like he's probably sort of 5'9" or something. 5'10", like yeah. But he's he's a wiry man. I've seen him. I've seen that gif of him like doing the dance and stuff like that. Like he's
that was from Dirty Dancing Havana Nights. That was like 20 years ago.
Yeah, that's true. But I think he's he's not like he's bulked up hugely in between and things. But yeah, look, they've done well. Sort of, he's a bit more scruffy. You got the longer beard in this. It doesn't feel like there's any sort of. You don't think that it's weird that he's playing someone younger than when it's the movie's older or anything like that. It all seems to work perfectly fine.
Yeah.
His mum being sort of older and then younger in the flashbacks works well. And yeah, I'm not sure what else to say really. Yeah, I feel like you just got to go on the ride.
Yeah, oh God, it's so good. It's so good. And
it's definitely good. I'll be curious to see what just people we know think of it, actually. And I think everybody that we know will be into it.
yeah,
And it's definitely different for Star Wars. It
absolutely.
definitely is the most high-profile Star Wars thing that doesn't lean the hardest on its Star Warsiness,
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
yeah. This could be, a dystopian science fiction series without any of the Star Wars links.
Yeah.
They could just,
And I'm sure that'll pick up more as you get into the rebellion and blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah. But it's just the tone and the, obviously it looks like it's got Star Wars design nods and everything, but just the way it's shot and the way it's paced and the music and we got a shit. Somebody said shit in Star Wars. I keep thinking of that have you seen that South Park episode where they say shit on TV and then all of a sudden it's the green light for everybody to start saying shit because it's been said on TV? I'll have to find the GIF and put that on the, and everybody celebrates. They're like, oh my god, he said shit. But that's definitely the first like genuine real life swear on Star Wars.
Yeah, that's not like a dank ferric or a made up swear.
Smeg. Getting back to punchable Rimmer.
And I see it's rated M, so that would allow for that. Although, surely PGs you can swear.
I think you can say I think you can probably say one swear on PG. I'm not sure. Do we do PG? It's just G, PG, M, M, MA, R. We don't do PG-13, but I think our M is PG-13. It used to be M15 plus, didn't it?
Yeah.
But I think that's what MA is now.
Yeah.
Who can keep up? All I know is I wasn't allowed to watch M movies until I was a certain age. But I mean, it's definitely an adult show as well. When they're touching on that, I don't know if many kids watch this and go, "Yeah, this is what I feel like watching."
Yeah, I think, especially with the pace that television moves these days, they'll be like, when are we going to get
to the fireworks factory?
Yeah, to something happening.
Yeah.
Or they'll be wondering, oh, what's this like on a binge? Which,
it's I don't know. I don't know whether it's just. I mean, it's not that late. We did start at about 7:30ish, so it's not like it's mega late or anything. But it's not mentally exhausting, but it's definitely a taxing show to watch from a concentration point of view, and just the implied tension as well.
Yes.
Where it's not like it's sort of played for tension, as in like, oh my god, this thing is going to fall off the cliff, and I've got a hold, and then it's just the heightened sense of tension and friction and slight anxiety around it.
Yeah, like even that guy on the bus. I'm just going to call it the bus.
Yeah, it's so British. Everybody's so British as well. Like you can tell it's been filmed in England. There's like so many, like you said, there's a few people from Doctor Who. I've spotted a few different people. I'm like, oh, I've seen that person in something. I've seen that person in something.
Yeah. Bix's boyfriend. At some point, I'll look it up, but he reminds me so much of somebody, and I don't know who. And it's going to annoy me a lot. And I'll probably get home and look him up on IMDb and go, I haven't seen him in anything.
It's quite funny because there's been, like a few notable British people in Star Wars stuff recently, even if it's voices, like Matt Berry and Moss from IT Guard, Richard Adelaide, sorry, I'm getting his name wrong. And it's like, oh yeah, if I saw them, they would be very obvious. Yeah. And this is more just like I'm half recognizing a bunch of people from British prestige television or... Yeah.
But it looks amazing. Like the world building, as you say, like you can go, this is a planet or this is a section that gets all these old ships and salvage parts, and it's all completely there. That wall of gloves, the engines in Bix's garage, everything.
Yeah, like I don't like, people decide to start shitting on the volume, and I don't think that's, I think some of the volume stuff looks amazing, but I think for this, because it is a bit more closed in and it's a bit more dirty, like you said, like you wouldn't do a wall of the gloves, but it's such a visually cool looking thing, but you wouldn't do that in the volume. You're just having a wall in the background of stuff. So, yeah, I'm just trying to think of other stuff. The music's cool. I mean, that second series with the drums was really noticeable. That was very cool.
The bells. The guy with the bells.
Yeah, the guy with the bells.
He's
it was quite funny because we were
job.
on the, I've got quite a premium soundbar here and we had the surround on and you could hear the kind of going around the room and did it. But then like the next time they did it, they just kind of went donk and they cut, like we've done our showy sort of boom thing with it. And I'm just going to look here.
Yeah, that bell guy.
It's just the trailer. I was
loving,
looking at the extras.
He's loving his
There's
job.
no episode titles or anything like that either. It's just episode 1, 2, and 3.
I wonder if that'll come.
Do you think maybe they'll do it afterwards in case they give away something? It's possible.
Maybe it's possible. Maybe. I think that's what they did with like Book of Boba Fett and Kenobi. Did they?
I think Kenobi was just chapter 1, 2, 3. I think only Book of Boba Fett and Mandalorian have series. They definitely have episode names.
Yeah.
Like The Stranger and the the da-da-da and the...
Yeah. But yeah, I think they came out later. But you never know. They might just keep with episode number, which is a far more sort of British thing to do, I think.
All right, well, we made it. It's been a journey. We've been
I'm here.
following this for a long time. We've been to Celebration and back. We've seen Diego in the flesh. And now the show's out. And we've got another 9 weeks to enjoy this. And I'm really interested to see where it goes. And then the good thing is that when it finishes, we've got another series. But though it looks like we're going to have to wait a year or two for that. They're going to be filming it next year. So
yeah, filming starts like November, so that means they will be filming during Celebration, but they film it obviously in Britain, so that means, hey, you all get the weekend off, but you have to go to Celebration.
Because Catherine's going to be there. And, you can always get closer at the Star Wars stage if you need to.
Just, surf me up there.
I'd be curious to see, it'll be interesting. I was going to send you an email. I got an email from just EB Games today, just like, hey, check out our Andor merch. And there was like a whole bunch of like shirts and little merch. And
It's finally come through.
Yeah, I'll forward it to you tonight when after I edit this, which I'm going to do next. But, well, I'm glad that you're happy.
It's just too many. I can see it. I've seen it. He's here.
Yeah, we just look at him just looking all tough on the screen there.
Look at his boots. They're cool.
Oh, yeah, they're quite high up the knees, aren't they? Or is that just a cover at the front?
It might just be like knee paddy type of...
Could be. All right, well, thanks everybody. This isn't going to be, 2 hours long. I think next week we'll be watching in our own homes, but we'll catch up and we'll do we'll do a recap of every episode as we go down. We'll have to get a bit more cock-a-doodle speculating because we're going to be on an episode a week here. We'll have to deep dive a little bit different and, we'll have the context of other people's opinions and things as well, which will be cool.
Yeah. Do you think the box will come up again?
I think the box is gone. I think it got crushed. I don't think it's sort of like whatever, but it seemed like he was interested in the box, but it was a means to get Cassian, I think.
Yeah.
But who knows? I have a feeling that everyone's got a couple of ulterior motives going on in this thing, so we'll see. Right, Catherine, where can people find you? You'll be probably guesting on pods. People probably want to know what you think about all this.
Yeah, in the future. I've got a couple lined up next week. Nothing's lined up yet for that Geek Pod, although if you want to, hit me up. Although I'm somewhat inconveniently going out of the state.
We're going to be able to do these if you're going to be out of state?
Oh, I'm back in time.
Are you back next week already?
Yeah.
Oh, right. So you're just going for like 4 or 5 days?
Yes.
Yes. Planning ahead.
Somewhat. Yes.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing that. And
I don't know what I'll be doing now on my own Twitter, and if I'm not counting down.
Well, you probably, I'm sure you'll probably read through people's opinions and get overly upset about somebody who has a nitpick, and You'll just have to hold your powder, and I would just revel in the watch the recaps, watch the reactions, read some reviews from people you trust.
Yep.
Get on those message boards, and we'll get ready to do it all again next week.
Yes. Oh, I don't think my heart can do it.
You did this really well. I was honestly expecting you to be a bit more of a blubbering mess, and I think the moment, because it took off and it kind of grabbed you,
Yeah.
you were swept away. Maybe you'll have a bit more of a think about it when you get home, but it's good. We got there.
We're here. Andor's here.
He's here. So we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.